White Fragility is currently on the top of the bestsellers list on Amazon.com. And really, I can't open up Facebook right now without seeing white people talking about the book and promoting the book and espousing that they are going to be working on their inherent racism. And because the book is so poorly written, I strongly disbelieve that any of them are actually going to make their way through it. But there's actually a bigger problem. It's actually a bigger problem if they actually read and internalize the things in this book. Because what Robin DiAngelo is going to teach you is that if you are white, you are racist. And there is nothing that you can do about it. And it's funny because I was actually having a conversation with some people I know on Facebook that are more on the left, people who put pronouns in their bios and that sort of thing. And they were talking about white fragility. And I said that white fragility has been disproven and debunked on several occasions. They said, no, Carlin, no, it is not. It is the way we all inherently are. And no one's calling you racist, but we should all be doing this important work. And it was that line, no one's calling anyone here racist, that really stood out to me because I know what's in this book, and I know that's exactly what Robin DiAngelo is doing. Robin DiAngelo has quite literally made a career, makes tens of thousands of dollars for one appearance to tell white people that they are inherently racist, and there's nothing that they can do about it except continue to pay Robin DiAngelo money, and it is harmful. And I'm going to prove that it's harmful. I'm going to offer you direct evidence that it is harmful. But before we get into that, listen, I'm trying to grow my channel. I know this content is rather depressing and it really does make me angry, not in a defensive white fragility way, and we're going to talk about that. But if you like the content, if you want to support my work, subscribe, turn on notifications, blah, 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 all that good stuff. All right, let's get right into it. So this is an article back from 2015, and the reason I selected this article is because it says it all in the headline. It says it all. This is from Michigan Public Radio. Why all white people are racist, but can't handle being called racist. The theory of white fragility. Robin DiAngelo was right out of college when she started thinking about it. She'd landed a job leading workshops on racism, and she met a man who became very angry and pounded on a table. He said white people are the target of discrimination. White people can't find jobs anymore. DiAngelo looked around the office, and she saw nothing but white people, all of them with jobs. It was unnerving, she said. It was like, this is not rooted in any racial reality that is happening in this room, in this workplace, or in this man's life. And yet these feelings are real. His rage is real. How do we do that? So let's think about what might have been happening in this. So Robin DiAngelo saw this image of this white man who had a job, pounding his fist on the table and saying, white people can't get jobs. And she said, well, that must mean that all white people are inherently racist because they can't see that there are racial inequities. Listen, if the dude is in a workshop about racism, of course he's going to be framing his perspective in that tone. But what is actually even more shocking to me about this is Robin DiAngelo doesn't seem to think of any other, it doesn't even seem to consider any other reason why this person might have this perspective. Perhaps everyone in his family was out of work. We don't know. Perhaps his best friend had been trying to find a job for months and couldn't find one. Perhaps he had seen a whole bunch of his friends recently get fired from this company. There are all sorts of reasons that this particular person may have had this perspective that has nothing to do with white people being inherently racist, but because this is what Robin DiAngelo does, this is what all of her education is in, and we can also see this is her first job right out of college, so that means she has literally zero practical experience in the real world. Of course, she's going to frame everything as, this person is defensive, so they must be racist. Meaning, how do white people see themselves as the victims of racism when the world around them shows something totally different? DiAngelo worked for years doing racism workshops wondering this. So she worked for years doing these racism workshops wondering on this question. Could it be that her own confirmation bias has come into play because she's looking for things to support the theory that she's already concocted in her head? I think so. I started thinking about how fragile our sensibilities are when it comes to race. Her theory is called white fragility. You can read her original paper on it here or read the book that's now the bestseller on Amazon. I don't really recommend that you do because it's really not a very good read. DiAngelo says white fragility starts from the moment of birth. Just think about that for a second. Just think about that. What harm does it do to people? Like, being called a racist in our society is one of the absolute worst things that you can be called. It has so many connotations to it. If I'm a racist, I'm a horrible person. If my boss finds out that I'm a racist, or people think I'm a racist, people are calling me a racist, I'm gonna lose my job. I'm not gonna be able to make a living. I'm not gonna be able to support my family. What will the neighbors think? All that stuff. It is one of the absolute worst things that we can be called. And this woman is going around peddling that it's true from the moment of our birth. Let's just skip down a little bit because really I don't care to read much of this. And actually, all white people are racist because, as D'Angelo said, racism comes out of our pores as white people. That's just the way we are. Well, hearing that is going to make you upset, maybe make you feel under attack, maybe make you pound your fists on the table. Almost any defensiveness that you get from a white person trying to talk about racism is rooted in the good or bad binary. D'Angelo said, they hear you saying you're a bad person. And isn't that what you're trying to insinuate to anyone when you call them a racist? Does anyone ever say, oh, you're a racist, but you're a really good person, and I know that, but you're definitely a racist? No one ever says that. That doesn't make any sense. Racism is inherently negative content. If you can be a racist and also be a good person, then why are so many people changing the name? Lady Antebellum changed the name of their band to Lady A because that's Gone with the Wind's getting pulled off HBO. If you can be a racist and be an inherently good person, which seems to be the argument that she's making here, then why would any of these things be necessary? Why? That just doesn't make any sense. Again, it is a term that is used to strike fear into the hearts of people and to put money in D'Angelo's pocket, because really the only way that you can manage your racism is to take her workshops and sit in your discomfort and work on your white fragility. And Robin DiAngelo would probably tell me, well, Carlin, you're angry that I'm saying this, and that just proves your white fragility. No, Robin, no. I am angry because you're hurting people. You're hurting people. You are hurting people. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it. This is an email I got yesterday from someone I apparently connected with a couple years ago. I didn't remember her, but I was so glad she wrote me because this email illustrates the harm that this mentality is doing perfectly. And so I asked her permission to share it. She said yes. She took out identifying characteristics in the content, but the content of the email is exactly the same as what she sent me. Hi, Carlin. We've never met in real life, but I connected with you on LinkedIn a few years ago via your great work with organizations and workplace culture. I got this email from your LinkedIn profile. Cut to this week, when I was feeling particularly hopeless and, to be honest, really depressed about being white, and seemingly unable to come up for air in the relentless waves of anti-racism and white fragility posts on my Instagram feed. I am generally left-leaning, as are most of my friends, and would like to think of myself as open-minded, forward-thinking, generally objective. In my everyday work, I literally get paid to routinely consider other perspectives and hopefully make good judgments and offer direction based on common good. Good, that is, in the traditional sense of the word, not when its definition is hacked by extremists. In any case, I was so dismayed upon reading White Fragility to know that things were just never going to get better, that I was forever stuck with the sound character upon which I have always tried to base my actions was a totally shitty character with no hope for redemption. And to make matters worse, there was no one in my immediate circle to talk to about my feelings, as I feared they would be invalidated as my fragility, that I had to shut up and accept it as part of the never-ending process. It was the darkest place I could ever remember being in. And then I thought, maybe it's not just me. Certainly, there is something wrong with this. What am I not getting? And I sought, gasp, different viewpoints. Long story short, I went down the instant rabbit hole, which led me to Dave Rubin, where he posted an interview with you, re the knitting debacle. And I remembered your name. From your Twitter, I found James Lindsay and the amazing site New Discourses, as well as Quillette. I feel human again. Anyway, this was incredibly too long, but really, I just wanted to say thank you for bringing me back from the brink. Professionally, I feel the need to toe the line, but I am absolutely terrified of my reputation being ruined. In any case, silence is violence after all. And since I know you're tracking, there was mention on a recent work call about instituting implicit bias training at work. So, we'll see. This is a good person. And I don't believe she's a racist. And I don't believe I'm a racist. And I don't believe any of you are racist. Do not listen to some academic hack who has no experience in the real world that is separate from her making money telling you that you are racist. If you are a good person, trust your judgment. Trust your judgment that you are good and that you do not treat people differently because of their race. What is going on right now in the world? It is a cult. And you are going to be made to feel like you're crazy. Listen, I feel like I'm crazy all the time. I look around and I'm like, what are they getting that I don't? It's a cult. It is a mass hysteria. That is what it is. And it is scary and terrifying. And I know so many people are scared. You all are sending me so many messages telling me that you're scared. We're going to get through this. You want to know why? We have truth on our side. This woman is crazy. Crazy. If you have to do this training at work, if they make you read this book at work or anywhere else, listen, you suck it up, you deal with it, because if you speak up, you might lose your job. I just want to be real for a second. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But just know, do not ever allow anyone to tell you that you are not a good person or that you are a racist simply because of the skin color that you were born with. This is harmful, this is destructive, and this is not going to do anything to create a more fair and just society. And so that's why I'm angry, Robin. It's not that I'm fragile. You try to tell me I'm fragile to my face sometime. You see how that goes for you, darling. I bet I'd look back at a woman who is scared, a woman who probably has a lot of racism herself, a woman who doesn't know anything about how this stuff manifests in the real world, because everything you've done is all theoretical and academic, and you make money telling people that they are bad people and they are racist. How dare you? Yeah, I said it. How dare you harm people in this way? It is unconscionable. I have no words for how evil this is.